Nicole's view. Say it with me, y'all. Nicole's view. That's right, because this is how she do it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this podcast version of Nicole's View Live. Although this is pre-recorded, this is how I would usually do it. Now, there has been a lot going on, and I wanted to still talk about the latest news and, trending topics and whatnot. So let's get started. I hope you guys had a wonderful weekend. Now let's go ahead and get into it. The first story news topic I want to discuss here is very interesting. Very interesting. There was a black man out of New Jersey who was recently sentenced to 160 years in prison. Coming out of Newark, New Jersey, serial killer lured on social media by friend. A victim gets 160 years. So they are saying that this man, I believe his name is Khalil Wheeler Weaver, 25, sat motionless as the judge gave the sentence in state court in Newark. Now, Mr. Weaver is accused of killing 3 black women. And I'm going to go ahead and read some of this article to you for those of you who have not heard about this. I heard about this this week. So this story here is crazy, is wild, but apparently this is what they're saying happened. A New Jersey man who used dating apps to lure and kill 3 women 5 years ago was sentenced this past Wednesday to 160 years in prison after a trial in which it was revealed that friends of one victim did their own detective work on social media to get the suspect out, to expose him. Khalil Wheeler Weaver, 25, sat motionless as the judge gave the sentence in state court in Newark. The sentencing was preceded by emotional statements by family members of victims Robin West and Sarah Butler. In a brief statement before they spoke, Wheeler Weaver denied responsibility, telling Superior Court Judge Mark S. Ali that he was framed. Interesting. Wheeler Weaver's mother, aunt, and brother sat in the gallery but didn't address the court. The sentences covered 3 murders, 1 attempted murder, and other counts including kidnapping, aggravated arson, and desecration of human remains. This is some heavy stuff. And it goes on to say the Essex County Prosecutor's Office had credited friends of Butler, a college student from Montclair, with using social media to help police find Wheeler Weaver. They gained access to her social media account, set up a fake account, lured Wheeler Weaver to a meeting in Montclair, and notified police, according to prosecutors. A 4th woman who survived an attack and testified at Wheeler Weaver's trial also provided crucial information that helped investigators, since the details of her attack were similar to those of the other victims. At Wednesday's sentencing, Tiffany Taylor described how the attack changed her life. "My whole life is different. I don't wear makeup anymore. I don't have friends. I'm always paranoid, but I'm happy to still be here," she said before addressing the judge with, "I hope you don't show him any remorse, because he's not showing any remorse." Prosecutors presented evidence at trial that Weaver, then 20, used the dating apps to lure the women for sex, then strangled them. Their bodies were found between September and December of 2016 in northern New Jersey. Investigators also presented evidence from Wheeler Weaver's cell phone that placed him where The victims disappeared and where their bodies were found. Wow. Assistant Essex County Prosecutor Adam Wells noted Wednesday that the killings were separated by weeks, giving Wheeler Weaver a chance to contemplate his actions before killing again. The defendant believed these victims were disposable. They were killed, and then he went on about his day as if nothing had happened, he said. But each of these women's lives mattered. Wow. West, a 19-year-old from Philadelphia, was seen getting into a car with Wheeler Weaver the night of August 31st, 2016, and was killed within the next few hours, prosecutors said. They alleged Wheeler Weaver dumped her body in an abandoned house not far from his home in Orange, near Newark, and set the house on fire. It took about 2 weeks to identify her remains. West's mother, Anita Mason, described a sometimes headstrong young woman who often showed a softer side. I will never forget her smile, her face, her walk, her desire to help homeless people, Mason said Wednesday. The world focuses on the last month of her life. She had a whole entire life before her demise. Hundreds of people were affected by her life and were saddened by her death. Joanne Brown, 33, of Newark, was killed about a month after West was identified and was also dumped in an abandoned house in Orange, but her body wasn't discovered until 6 weeks later. Butler disappeared around Thanksgiving of 2016, about a month after Brown was killed, and her remains were discovered in a wooded area 4 days before Brown's body was discovered. Both women had been strangled with clothing. On Wednesday, Butler's father, Victor, urged the judge to give Wheeler Weaver the maximum sentence. Then turning to the defendant, he said, I hope you suffer, boy, every night. This is horrific. Absolutely horrific. Weaver is still proclaiming his innocence, but from the evidence that they have on him, it's pretty strong and it's pretty bad. You know, you have to be so careful on these apps, on these dating websites. I know it can be very enticing. It's the new way to meet people. If you live or have a busy lifestyle, you live a busy life. Some people may want to meet people, but they can't. So they feel like, it's an easier way to meet people on Facebook. It doesn't matter. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, dating websites. You just have to be careful and really do your research when you go on these sites, because you never know. And that's the sad, scary part. You never know who you're meeting. You don't know what they truly are. And although this does not happen all the time with people who meet on social media, most times, it works out or it doesn't work out, but you have these chances of being harmed. So if you do this, be mindful. Always let people know who you're meeting up with. Try to meet people during the day. If you're going to meet people on social media, try to get to know them first a lot beforehand, before you do meet them in person. Let people know where you are, where you're going, so there is a trail, because you need to be able to be traced. And I know there was one app at one point that had something like that. If you go missing, people can, find out where you are, you can be traced and all that good stuff. So, you have to be so mindful and careful out here in these streets. It's just scary. Okay. I'll just leave it at that. Now, this story here, you got to give it to Germany. You got to give it to Germany, because one thing, they don't forget is the Holocaust. They will never forget. They will never get tired of it. They will go after anyone who had any sort of participation, any sort of connection with the murder of thousands of Jewish people. They will never. They don't care if you are 150 still kicking. If they find out you had any connection to the killing of Jewish people, they will come for you. And we've seen a few of these stories before. So this here from the Wall Street Journal says Nazi concentration camp guard who is 100 years old pleads not guilty in German trial. I just think about all the atrocities that have happened to our people on this land and abroad. I mean, you can just think of Emmett Till, how nothing was done. No one faced any sort of consequences. The woman connected to Emmett Till who went along with his brutal, heinous murder still walks this earth in this country. And yet you have a story like this, 100 years old, and they say, you're not going to leave so nice and peacefully here. This ain't America. We're going to come for you. I can't even get mad at that. Because that's what we should be doing to those who have inflicted harm upon our people. So what they're saying is that this man who is 100 years old, his name is Joseph S., and he served as a guard and a member of the SS Nazi military at the death camp near Berlin, where tens of thousands of people were killed as part of the Nazi extermination effort. He was dressed in a blue sweater, hiding his face behind a blue folder. He appeared in court on Friday in the northern eastern town of Neuruppin. I know I am screwing that up. For those of you who lived in Germany, can speak German, let us know how you say that. The second day of a trial that is expected to stretch into early next year. Now, he goes on to say that I've done nothing wrong at all. I am innocent, he said. The court decided that the man who will turn 101 next month is mentally and physically fit to stand trial for just over 2 hours at a time. So they're going to decide, I guess, if he should still stand trial. The suspect's lawyer told Stefan Waterkamp, the suspect's lawyer told reporters that justice would have been better served had the trial happened earlier, closer to the alleged crimes. The case is the latest in a series of trials of people who played junior roles in the Holocaust and other Nazi crimes, and often were very young at that time. In 2011, a Munich court found the former guard John Demjanjuk, I know I'm screwing that up too, guilty of accessory to the murder of nearly 30,000 people, which basically set a precedent that has since allowed the prosecution of low-ranking suspects. Wow, representatives of Holocaust victims said these late trials of junior regime members came after many higher-ranking Nazis were left unprosecuted or given mild sentences in the decades after the war. Up to the 1990s, German authorities focused on restitution efforts instead, said Ephraim Zuroff, director of the Jerusalem-based Simon Wiesenthal Center, who attended the trial this week. So, in other words, what they're doing here is, if we find out, as I just said in the beginning of this segment, if we find out you had any connection, you will be brought in and you will have to face the consequences. Now, it remains to be seen if they will prosecute this man right here. But you know what? I respect it. I totally respect it, because this is what should be happening right here, right now. But then again, remember, this is the same country that we can have our own murdered on camera from folks in the so-called police department, and what has happened with a lot of the cases. Breonna Taylor, I mean, I can go on and on. So for me, that's respect. But it also shows you that these folks don't play. When it comes to their folks, they don't play. They don't care how old, how frail you are. If you went after theirs and they can prove it, you're done. You're done. So just thought that was interesting for those of you who hadn't seen it. I was like, wow, okay. All right. Anywho, we're going to go ahead and segue into the next topic. So, from going after a 100-plus-year-old man who was accused of being a Nazi guard and, participating in the Holocaust to North Carolina, where you have a teacher who basically told her black students that you could have been my field slaves. Now, see, this is what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Do you think she could have gotten away with this if she were in Germany somewhere teaching and telling her students of Jewish backgrounds that you could have been in my Nazi camp, concentration camp? You think she'd got away with that? No, it would never had happened. This is what we're dealing with. This is what we're dealing with. No respect. And this is how they were to get away with this, is because of how this country has treated black people for hundreds and hundreds of years, and still do so to this day, as you can see. There's been no true consequences. None whatsoever. So they can get in here, get in these classrooms, indoctrinate, say the most outlandish, racist things, and just basically get a slap on the wrist and can resign. This is what we're talking about. Now, this article from CNN is saying a teacher at a North Carolina charter school resigns after claims of field slave comments to black students. A teacher at a North Carolina charter school has resigned after parents brought to light a number of alleged racist incidents, including a racially insensitive lesson to black students in September, the school said. In an 8th grade class at Winterville's Charter Academy during a lesson regarding the importance of the U.S. Constitution, parents claimed the teacher allegedly asked black students to stand up, telling them that if it wasn't for the Constitution, they would be her field slaves. The school said it acted immediately, right, and is working to address ongoing concerns from parents. And they also, at the same school, had a slavery petition, was the latest racist incident at this school. Parents and lawmakers are fed up. Clearly, we know that's not how the history works. Kanisha Tillman, whose 8th grader was in the class, told CNN, but was upset. But what upset me even more, not only is she teaching history and the Constitution wrong, but the fact that she personalized it and made our students stand up, raise their hand, separate themselves from the rest of the class, and say they would be working for her in the field as slaves. The lesson was carried out during an English lesson on Constitution Day on September 17th, the school said. 8th grade parents at the school received a memo from Principal Anastasia Ryan on September 24th, noting that the English language arts teacher involved, who has not been identified, always protecting them, of course, was supported in turning in her resignation and would not be returning on campus. Okay. Culturally sensitive training would be provided for the teacher that had resigned. And see, this is the problem. All the training in the world is not going to stop someone like this. First of all, why is she's an English teacher. Why is she teaching this? What does this have to do with English? Yes, some can argue, it was Constitution Day. This is what she was allowed to do, blah, blah, blah. No. It's not history class. For the same people who are yelling about, critical race theory this, critical race theory that. But here she is in an English class pushing this nonsense, or just being so divisive and so insensitive. But, this is it. This is that bull crap. And it just basically goes on to talk about the teacher, the staff, and has she not resigned, and the fact that she gets to resign. I just wonder if this was about LGBTQ, if this was about the Holocaust with Jewish people, would she have been able to just resign and just go about her merry little way? No, I highly doubt it. But anyway, I'm so over it. We see these stories all day, every day, and it's the same old, same old. racially insensitive courses. Let's get down to it. Let's talk about it. No, start punishing people. That's what you do. That's the only way they can seem to understand. Taking away their livelihood, seeing how it feels. They only get away with that crap here. Only. And it's frustrating, but it doesn't surprise me. So we'll see who she goes to start working with next. She'll just get transferred somewhere else. After this is long gone and forgotten about, she'll be transferred somewhere else, corrupting some more minds. Nothing changes. But anyway, let's go ahead and go to the next topic. Oh, Dave Chappelle. Yes, now we are entering into the entertainment part of what would usually be like my live stream, but this is the podcast version. And I want to go ahead and make sure to definitely touch on this. Now, I was a little bit hesitant, I will admit, to watch this because I was seeing people who had already seen it and they were saying, oh, Chappelle's talking about Black people. He mentioned Black people beating up Asians and so, some people were, rightfully so, in the beginning calling it out. And, when I heard, I'm like, oh, this don't sound like it's going to be good. But I said, you know what? Let me give it a chance. Let me just sit down this weekend and watch it. And that's what I did. Friday evening, my sister and I was at my sister's house and we ordered some food and we sat down and we watched it in its totality. And, we know how Dave is. He kind of opens up, his monologue or however he starts. He always starts just kind of talking about what's going on currently in the news. And it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. It was more so of a nod to it. And then some people say when you think of the joke, he wasn't necessarily saying that Black people were beating up Asians, but more so he was relaying that with having COVID and not really having the symptoms of COVID. Some people say he meant that with that, he was saying that us Black people beating up Asian was actually not true. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, since it was a quick little jab and since it was a quick jab, a mention of it, and then to, tie that in, I'm like, okay, I can take that. I didn't know if it was going to be a 10-minute diatribe about us, and Asians and stuff like that, but it wasn't. But I can understand if you were to hear that and be like, why did he even say that? Why did he mention that? But I get it. That's what he does. He's going to, touch on things, especially things that are going on. He's going to add his social commentary with a joke and, some make you sit down and really think about the joke. That's how his style is. So, I'm listening to it, and then of course it gets funnier. It gets funnier as it goes on. Like midway, it gets funnier and funnier, and then towards the end, it's just so funny, and then it just kind of drops off, and then it gets kind of serious. I shouldn't tell everything for those of you who haven't seen it. I want to kind of reserve it for y'all because I know how that tough can be if you haven't seen it. You want to see it. You don't want any spoilers. But for the most part, I'm just going to speak on the so-called canceling Dave Chappelle from folks in the LGBTQ community, specifically the trans community. We know since Dave has been doing these stand-up specials, he has talked about folks in the LGBTQ plus community. It's been no secret. Folks know he's talked about them. He's made jokes about them. But the thing is, this man talks about everybody. He makes jokes about everybody. No one is like, no one gets a pass. For years, all his sketches on his Dave Chappelle show. If anyone should be outraged or, wanting to cancel him, it would be his own people. But we know where Dave is coming from. We know that, although some of it may be seen as offensive and, insensitive, and, I know some people hate the fact that he constantly uses the N-word. I get it. But we know this is what we've been hearing for decades and decades. It's like it's nothing to us. So if any group should be outraged, you would think it would be black people. From the curse words, the B, the whole, you guys already know his whole, how he talks. So it comes as no surprise. And some folks even mention how this is the same man who made fun of people who were addicted to drugs, to crack. I mean, that was one of his most famous, well-known skits, is the crackhead. So, when I think of that, and then you tie in when certain members of the LGBTQ plus community get upset when he makes jokes or talks about them, I'm not understanding this. And I think with this, the closer on Netflix, his last, I guess, Netflix special, unless he signs another deal with them, which probably I can see happening. The fact that it's controversial is great for Netflix, because then people are going to want to tune in and see it. So it's like the more you complain about it, the more you get out here and make a ruckus about it. You're just making more people want to go look at it who probably didn't even want to go see it. So if anything, it's helping Netflix. I've seen people say, I've seen them more outraged over this than the Cuties movie that was on Netflix. So you guys remember that? That was a film that focused on this young adolescent black girl wanting to cheer, and it was just, it was all over the place. It was crazy. There were scenes of young girls twerking and gyrating, and people were outraged by that because they're doing this in front of adults. It came across very perverted. And, I stopped paying for Netflix when I saw it, because I thought that it was just beyond the pale. But did you see Netflix take it off? No, they didn't crave to the pressure. So I highly doubt they're going to crave to the pressure of folks in that community coming after him. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Dave Chappelle brings in too many eyes, and it's not going to happen, which is why you heard me say I went to my sister's house to watch this, because, I don't have Netflix anymore. I canceled it after that whole Cuties debacle. But anyway, so you have this special here, and he gets, basically talks about how we have this culture here and how he has literally become jealous. And we totally see where he's coming from. This isn't to say that the LGBTQ plus community doesn't deserve progress, doesn't deserve to be respected, doesn't deserve, certain doesn't deserve certain accolades and being able to, grow and all that stuff. It's just the fact that, we know they've been around for a few decades now, and they have made major progress. That is a fact. The fact they've made so much progress that if you say the wrong word about them, if you say a word that is deemed anti-gay, your career can be over within an instant. And this is what Chappelle was just bringing home. He's like, my people, we've been dealing with this crowd for over 500 plus years. And he's like, I'm jealous in so many words that the progress that they've made, it's been lightning speed. Yes, it's been decades, but decades compared to over 500 years with us, it doesn't compare. So it was just really great to see how he broke that down. And for those of you who are in that community and still don't get it, you will never get it. In my opinion, you're purposely not getting it, because there will never be a comparison of what our people went through in this country and abroad. There will never be any sort of comparison. And he even brought up the fact that, can folks in the LGBTQ plus community be racist? And of course they can be. Of course they can be. I mean, we've seen it. And he brought up DaBaby. He brought up, J.K. Rowling and all these people that they just said, well, I don't agree that, a trans woman is actually a woman. If you just saying that can be your life is over with. And that shouldn't be. Yes, Does it mean it be, cruel and mean to someone who may be trans? No. But you can respectfully say, I may not agree with you necessarily saying that you're in fact a woman, but that doesn't mean that I hate you. That doesn't mean that I despise you and believe you don't deserve to exist. This is where the whole cancel culture and folks getting carried away with stuff, it goes too far. Yes, people say ignorant stuff, yes. And some folks may say, well, didn't you just say in the last segment that woman, that teacher, what she did? Yeah, what she did was wrong. But we know in this society, she's just going to be transferred somewhere else. And DaBaby, look what y'all did to DaBaby. Any festival he was a part of, they made sure to cancel him. That was Dave Chappelle's point. They will make sure that if it's us, that they're gonna double down and make sure that you are gone. Okay? That you are canceled. Unless we cancel culture. And I am hoping with this special, this is what Dave did. I hope he canceled cancel culture, because it's gotten to the point to where you can't even respectfully speak your mind about something without someone just going off, especially if you're being respectful in that way. It's insane. So, it's amazing to see that it took Dave Chappelle to be the voice of reason when it comes to this. And I said this on Twitter. He mentioned how he befriended a trans woman by the name of Daphne, I believe it's Dorner. Let me bring it up. But I mentioned this, video there. I mentioned this on Twitter, and it got a nice traction when I mentioned this. I said, just saw Dave Chappelle's special, and it's sad that he has become the voice of reason. Those going after him are not doing it because he's anti-gay / trans. They're doing it to divert attention away from his friend, Daphne Dorman, a trans who was attacked by her own for supporting Dave Chappelle. So in this special, sorry, this is a spoiler for those of you. I just want to stay on the topic of it. Dave mentions how he befriended a trans woman who was a comedian, and she loved his work. She supported him. He talked about how she would come to all his shows when he was in town, and she would laugh the loudest when he talked about, the gay / trans community. And she didn't find it offensive. She found it funny. She said there was truth behind it. And when his Sticks and Stones special dropped, a year or two ago, she got on Twitter and even said in so many words that Dave is not anti-gay or anti-trans. He's a comedian, and he doesn't punch down or anything like that, because that's what someone accused him in the LGBTQ plus community of, punching down on trans people. And she mentioned in that tweet that that's not what Dave does. He has punch lines. And apparently she got roasted by her own folks, by those in that community. Now, does that mean she got roasted by everybody that was LGBT? No. But she got really, really attacked for it by those in that community. And look at what happened. Look at what happened. She ended up harming herself, committing suicide. So it's amazing to me that you have this here, and you have Dave talking about this, and it's almost as if he feels sad about it. He's like, I don't know if it was because she was attacked by her own, or if she was dealing with the inner conflict of being trans, but you can tell that he cared. And the fact that you have another trans woman who we saw the news talking about, oh, we need to cancel this. You had Glad come out talking about canceling Dave Chappelle. And you had this moment in the show that these same folks from these organizations, Glad and the National Black Justice Coalition, who are these people? Out of nowhere, here they come automatically with these prepared statements because they knew Dave was going to go there. This is all pre-planned, folks, okay? All pre-planned. Know the game, okay? All these folks come out immediately after the special drops. And they're talking about canceling him, this, that, and the third, as if they can't be joked about, as if they can't be talked about, as if, you can't even make jokes. I'm sorry. But if Dave can call black folks the N-word, B's and hoes and everybody else crazy words and names, what makes you exempt? What makes you exempt from jokes? If anything, you should be proud because you're included. Isn't that the whole purpose of what you want anyway? I mean, if we can get that smoke, why can't you? There's your inclusion for you. So for me, it's like, okay, you may not like some of what he said. Some of them were jokes and some of them were factual statements. But that doesn't mean that you're going to be hunted down and hated. Most people want people to, hey, live your life at your fullest, do the best you can, be the best human you can be, do you, especially in this day and age. We live in a day and age now where people can do and say and be whatever they want to be. Okay, and we're getting to the point where there's no judgment for the most part. Of course, you're always going to be judged no matter what you are, gay, straight, bi, whatever you are, trans. But there has to be a point in time where you just don't give a damn and just live your life. Because if you're constantly looking for validation from folks who may not understand where you're coming from, but they want to have empathy for you and make sure that you're okay and you can live your life as stress-free as possible. I mean, we all want that. But you can't go around if someone is a comedian, that's what they do for a living. I mean, I just wouldn't support that person. If they're saying stuff I don't like or don't agree with, I just don't support them. I'm just like, be done with them. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? Like I did Netflix. I'm not going to pay Netflix to see some little adolescent females twerking and jerking and gyrating. I just don't support it. I think the whole cancel thing, the cancel culture, hopefully ended with this. I am hoping that we finally get rid of this whole thing. Because what it has done, it has made people think that they, just say is, even if it's not disrespectful, that's the thing that kills me. Someone like a Dave Chappelle, that's what he does. I've heard worse. As a matter of fact, Dave, in the same special, made a joke about molestation. I would have thought that would have got a whole lot more energy and play than this. But it didn't. What got the most attention? Him not allegedly, I shouldn't say allegedly, him talking about the LGBTQ plus people and trans and offending them. They're the only people out here saying something. I would think people who were abused as children and who were seeing it would have made some noise about it. But you don't see that. Why is that? That's something else people missed. But this is what it is. And this is what he means by white supremacy. You can say the most wildest, craziest crap about black people. We'll make a ruckus, but at the end of the day, what's really going to be done about it? Like I just said in the last segment with that racist teacher out of North Carolina. So it's just amazing to me. It's amazing to me how this all just kind of came about. And I definitely believe he finished hard on this special. It was good. It was really good. I do recommend it. Like I said, I was almost off put by it when I heard the whole blacks on attacking Asians. I'm about to say, wait a minute, Dave, now. Don't make me cancel you. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I mean, that's what we're dealing with. I mean, we could have been upset by that comment alone, but we're not. I mean, I'm not crazy about the when he said it, but when you listen to the whole thing in its entirety, it makes sense then. It makes sense what he's saying. So, or understanding the joke. Some people don't understand jokes. And there were certain things he said, I didn't get it at first. And my sister was like, did you catch that? I was like, oh. So it's always awesome to see these things. You almost have to watch them a couple of times just to catch certain things that you didn't in the beginning. So, great special. Definitely, worth watching. And I think folks who are in the LGBTQ plus community, they need to pipe down a bit. I think y'all have gained a lot of momentum lately in the last few years, and now I think it's becoming too much. And there's going to be eventually a backlash to it, and you have to pipe it down. Not saying don't care for your community, don't go hard for your community, but there comes a point where it's like, okay, just we get it. Just pump your brakes just a little bit. Just a little bit is what Dave is saying, because y'all are just doing way too much. And not just LGBTQ plus people, just folks in general. Y'all are doing way too much. Pump your brakes. That's what I got from this. Let's get back to some sort of reality. Like, it's just the folks in the insane asylum have taken over. That's what I got from this special. And racism and just all of this stuff, how it all intertwines at the end of the day. But anyway, those are my thoughts on that. And the last entertainment story I'm going to talk about is Mr. R. Kelly. So we all know that R. Kelly was convicted a few weeks ago. But man, that went by so quick. And I saw this. This is a few articles actually. I'm reading this from Hot 97, their website, and they're saying that Google owns YouTube, folks, by the way, if you didn't know that. They decided to remove R. Kelly's YouTube channels. And this article says, after the disgraced, same old talking point, singer was found guilty in his federal racketeering and sex trafficking trial, Google terminated all of the pages that have his videos and songs on them. If viewers attempt to search for any R. Kelly music or videos, they will be met with a message that reads, "This account has been terminated for a violation of YouTube's terms of service." The pages have been removed due to the creator is participating in abuse or violence, demonstrating cruelty, or participating in fraudulent, deceptive behavior leading to real-world harm. YouTube's head of legal, Nicole Alston, said in a statement the egregious actions committed by R. Kelly warrant penalties beyond standard enforcement measures due to his excuse me guys, it's getting late towards the end, due to a potential to cause widespread harm. Now, folks, this right here just goes to show you the racist double standards of this platform. This goes to show you, and in this segment, we're not debating Kelly's guilt or innocence. In this segment, I'm going to basically say this. Google and YouTube, you are full of it. This is nothing but straight up racism. Let me tell you why. Shout out to our brother, Mr. Jason Black. He says, YouTube said they removed R. Kelly's channels because their terms of service say you can't have committed a crime that led to a real world harm. However, if you didn't know, there is a man by the name of Sammy the Bull who killed dozens of people. He has a YouTube channel, and he's not the only one. That's right. He's not the only one. He's not the only one. Go look it up. Sammy the Bull. And y'all go tell YouTube Google or Google YouTube. This is racist. You have Harvey Weinstein, who was also accused and convicted of sex abuse allegations. I can find any of his movies on YouTube. I mean, this goes on and on and on and on. This is nothing but the same old, same old, same old. What happened to separating the man from the music? I guess we just can't do that, right? If he's black. If he's black, we can't do that. He's a monster, so we're going to cancel him in every aspect of the word cancel. No matter whether you believe R. Kelly is innocent or guilty, this right here is wrong. This is what I'm talking about. The hypocrisy, the racism, just the straight up, it's just trash. It's trash, no matter how you look at it. Some are going to say, well, you can still hear his music on, I think, YouTube Music or something like that, but you got to pay for that. You know what I'm saying? It's just, why can't I just go look for it? Like, I can just go look up Sammy the Bull. Why can't I just go look up R. Kelly? Like, you can go listen to Sammy the Bull and look at Harvey Weinstein videos and all that stuff. Harvey Weinstein movies, I'm sorry, that he's associated with. That's still on YouTube. I don't see that coming down anytime soon. Oh, that's right. That's too much like right. That's too much like fair. That's too much like holding only certain people accountable in this so-called system, right? That's right. But anyway, I'm not shocked nor surprised. Look forward to more double standards coming when it comes to R. Kelly. Look forward to more hypocrisy. Look forward to it. Anyway, I thank y'all so much for listening to Nicole's View podcast. I promise I will be on live soon enough. Maybe next weekend I'll be live in the flesh. We shall see. But it's getting down to the wire. I have to definitely start getting ready. We have to start unpacking and getting ready to move soon. So I need to do the cleanup process of getting all our stuff, giving away stuff we don't want. Y'all know the deal when it comes to moving. It's so annoying. But anyway, guys, you all have a wonderful week ahead. Make sure to like this. Make sure to share. Make sure to subscribe. My email will be in the comment section pinned at the top. All my information is there. Cash App. You need to email me something. Let me know. Keep in the loop with me. And I will see you all soon. You guys have a great night. And make sure to tune in to Nicole's View. Bye-bye.